Good morning, Showdown displays. Welcome to the 2020 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. 2020 has been a tough year. We're getting toward the end of it, and we'll all be glad to see it come to conclusion, I think. But one of the fun things we get to do is to today induct two new members into our Hall of Fame. If you don't know who I am, my name's John Bruellman. I'm the CEO here at Showdown. And I'm speaking to you today from our headquarters in Brooklyn Center, which, by the way, is a change of location for our Hall of Fame. We had it in our Ramsey facility. Many of you have seen the banners that used to hang over our production area, and we have changed that. And you can see that on the wall behind me. What you're looking at is the wall against the lunchroom outside of the fountain area, which is right next to our showroom in Brooklyn Center. And one of the reasons we moved it is this is a much more prominent location, which we felt was appropriate for our Hall of Fame members. Other reason is we're running out of space in our production facility to do ceremonies like this, and so we thought that this would be a much more appropriate setting. We do have a limited audience here today. I am the only one without a mask, and people are way socially distant. We do have a small audience here today of around 6 or 7 people, and I know the rest of you are watching this on our YouTube channel. So some of the attendees here today are our honorees, which are Bill Kilrain and Daryl Holleman, which we have previously announced. We're also joined today by Daryl's wife, Julie, who feels like part of our Showdown family as well. So if you're not familiar with the Hall of Fame, what is it? Again, you can see it on the wall behind me. There are some existing members in there now. This is a program we developed about 7 years ago to recognize individuals whose long-term contributions have been exemplary and meaningful to our company over and above what a typical employee-employer relationship may look like. Bottom line is these are individuals whose contributions went so far above and beyond making us who we are today that we thought those contributions warranted selection into the Hall of Fame. So if you look behind me, many of you may not know these folks. A lot of us know them very well, but as time progresses, it seems like just yesterday we inducted these folks, but as time progresses, I realize maybe not some of you know everybody. So let's start just with that. Jeff Adams was our first inductee, which we did in 2013. Jeff, many of you consider Jeff a mentor and a friend. I did as well. Jeff was an industry professional, longtime industry professional, and he did a number of things for us, but his primary role was leading our customer care organization, and he built that into an organization that could be passed off to Daryl and then ultimately to Jim Thompson. But the foundations of that world-class organization that we have today really started with Jeff, and he is somebody who was absolutely passionate about the legendary experience when we first rolled it out. He had only a very short time with that. But he was passionate about doing things right for our customers. He was passionate about getting things right for our company, and he was passionate about the work he did. Unfortunately, Jeff left us because he passed away of a brain tumor. And that was one of the saddest days in Showdown's history. And I still think about Jeff every day, and his spirit still lives here with us. So Jeff Adams was our first inductee. And then we had Don Schultz. If you worked in production at all or in our factory, you knew who Don was. And many of you, well, I shouldn't say many of you, a few of you worked with Continental Sign. That's where Don got his start, and then transitioned as Continental Sign and Showdown came together. Don led our maintenance efforts for all these years. Prior, he was the predecessor to Charles Snoddy. And what a guy. When we created our core values for our company, one of the exercises we went through as a leadership team was to think about an individual that you wanted everybody on your team to be like. and what values did that person hold, and those were the things that we started to list out. My person that I thought of was Don Schultz. And when I listed things that should be company core values or the values of the perfect team member, he's the one that I modeled. Don was that guy for me. So Don was our second inductee. And then we ended, this was a few years ago, we ended with Joe Boltman. Just talked to Joe this week, actually. Joe's doing very well. Joe was our production leader for many years. Joe was here when I arrived at Showdown. And Joe is somebody who went through the growing pains of a very small organization. Again, experience with Continental Sign, Creative Banner, Showdown, all of our many brands, and grew rapidly. And to be a production leader in a time that the company's experiencing exponential growth, and to do that with class and dignity and a calmness that was just Joe. And by the way, learned his role from the ground up. No industry experience, no printing experience when he arrived. This is something that Joe just learned. So Joe was our third well-deserved honoree for our Hall of Fame. And Bill and Daryl are joining that distinctive group today with obviously great contributions of their own, which we'll talk about in a minute. So let's get started with that. I am very proud, and I'm looking over here at our two inductees today, that Bill Kilrain and Daryl Holleman have been selected to the Hall of Fame. When I told both Bill and Daryl about this, I was expecting them to be thankful and appreciative, but I really didn't expect, I guess, how touched they would both be by this, and I can tell even in talking to them today, it means something to them too, to be recognized by you and by our leadership team as people who are joining the esteemed group on the wall. So I want to start, guys, by saying thank you for that. Your appreciation for this doesn't match our appreciation for everything that you have done for us and for our company, and I mean that. We're going to start, and we'll call, I will call each of them up individually today, but I want to start with Daryl Holleman. Daryl was the first direct hire that I did, my first direct report that I hired when I came to Showdown. And I hired Daryl to handle the sales and business development tasks for something called Edge Exhibits. Some of you might not even recall Edge Exhibits. This is a brand we had that was really for our trade show and signage brand. And so Daryl walked into that. At the time, we had different pricing, we had different products, we had different collateral, we had, to put it bluntly, it was a mess. And Daryl was the lucky one of them, to help start to clean up that mess. And I remember going to Daryl, or with Daryl, to the first several trade shows. He and I spent lots of time calming customers down. We were just joking this morning about a large customer who sent an email to me that says, "Why Edge sucks?" And that Daryl walked into that. We weren't performing well at that time, and Daryl was instrumental in turning that around. And through his career, nobody played, Kevin Wallace likes to say this, I steal this quote from him, nobody played better utility infield than Daryl did. Daryl he did a bit of everything. And he also had more offices than anybody that I've ever been associated with. He moved more times than anyone. And good humor through it all. But he ran the care team, he ran the graphics team for a while. He, as I mentioned, handled sales and business development for Edge. That transitioned into Showdown. He handled the relationship and the product line with something many of you know nothing about called Blueprint. This was a trade show exhibit system that we licensed. Daryl was in charge of that. Daryl also had a monumental task in helping transition the Huntsville team, and not to mention the Creative Banner team, into the Showdown fold. So we had Daryl running and leading difficult things up until the day that he retired. And that really left off with the Huntsville transition, both the customer accounts and the team, not easy. And so it really did become we have a difficult task here. We need somebody to give this to. Let's call Daryl. Okay, and it really turned out to be that way. He stepped up to every challenge and opportunity that the company had for him. Our customers loved Daryl, and they still love Daryl. I mentioned trade shows, right? This was always sort of a blow to my ego, working a trade show booth with Daryl, because you never could quite match up, right, to the customer interaction that Daryl had and the relationship he had with the customer. So, and by the way, we never had to hire any trade show talent because we had Daryl in the booth. Trade show talent, for those who don't know, some companies hire models and good-looking people to work their trade show booth. Whenever customers came in, and I will say especially the ladies, if somebody wanted to, you tried to step in and help, they always wanted to talk to Daryl, and never to me. So that's the blow to my ego. But the reality of it was our customers loved Daryl. And one of the toughest assignments that Daryl had in developing those relationships was, I mentioned before, the replacement of Jeff Adams. Very hard to fill shoes like that, but you did that admirably, Daryl, and that led directly to the customer care team that's led by Jim Thompson today. It wouldn't be appropriate to say something about Daryl without mentioning a hire that he made. Daryl brought on Ryan Lester, who was a colleague of Daryl's prior to coming here. And together, the two of them for Edge worked magic. If you recall, I mentioned some difficult days for Edge and for our whole company back in our early tenures here. And Daryl hired Ryan to come and help our way through that. And the two of them literally became a legend in that trade show exhibit industry. So I like to joke, and I'll steal another quote from Kevin Walsh, but discount Daryl and rebate Ryan just became things that would roll off the tongue to customers and to people here. And still, to this day, we will get people customers that talk about that and talk about you, Daryl, and of course Ryan, the sidekick in your hire, excuse me, was a part of that too. But really, it was your leadership that helped us through that, Daryl, and I'll be forever grateful for that. One thing to mention, this is a little bit of an aside, we have something here called a company high five program where employees can get rewarded for deeds well done. I have to tell you, upon Daryl's retirement, we have now restored significant liquidity to our high five program, where we're there are fewer cards being given out, shall we say, and that's not necessarily a good thing. We kid with Daryl about that, but you were phenomenal at recognizing your team, and it's one of the things that made you endearing. Happy to announce that, you say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Daryl also did he mastered PowerPoint. And I remember the days when you were managing GoToMeeting. You remember that when that first came out? You were one of the first adopters of that. You can teach a semi-old dog new tricks. Daryl is not old. I guess a couple last things about Daryl. I sort of touched on this already. Daryl, whether it was internal, external, customers or employees, Daryl could show up in a room, he still can today, without knowing a soul, and he'll leave with 25 friends, if that's how many people are in the room. And that's just the kind of guy that he is. And I am really proud to be, I hope, considered one of those friends. I know I consider Daryl and Julie dear friends. So Daryl, this recognition is so well deserved, right? You've done so much, and so I want you to come up. We'll do the unveiling of your sign here that welcomes you into the Hall of Fame, and I'd invite you to say a few words. So without further ado, let's take a look at the sign, and I will get out of the way and maintain social distance and let you say a few words.
Thank you. Wow. Thanks for the introduction. And you covered a lot of ground there. But first, before I start, just so everybody knows, it all started right here, the Edge exhibits. And I want to thank John and Ed Flaherty, who came to me with this opportunity back in March of 2007. And I had been working for a company for almost 20 years. And I have to say, it was not an easy decision. With a lot of help from John, Ed, my wife Julie, with support and feedback and maybe a little kick in the butt, wondering what was taking me so long to make my decision. But I made it, and I'm glad that I did. So there's a lot of people I've worked with in my time, and all of you out there had a hand in me receiving this honor. But a couple of people I do want to mention. Speaking of Edge, back in the good old days, Edge Exhibits was myself, it was Felicia Peterson, it was Jackie Blaze, and Ryan Lester. And that was pretty much our Edge Exhibits crew. John mentioned my time in customer care. When I took over that group at a tough time, there were a couple of people that really helped to keep the spirit and the vision of Jeff Adams alive. And that was Darlene Unger, Faye Martell, excuse me, Sierra Paulson. Sorry, Sierra, I don't know your last name, your new last name, and Sarah Otremba. So, ladies, I really thank you for all of your efforts. John mentioned Joe Boatman, and I have to give thanks to Mr. Boatman, number one, for giving me my first office here, which was right next door to John. When I first came in the building, I didn't see an empty office, so I was curious, and I didn't want to be presumptuous to assume I had a job before I was worrying about an office, but I was kind of curious where I might sit. And Joe was nice enough to give up his spacious office next door to John. And then also I owe Joe and a couple of his team members, Andy Earl and Mike Ike. You guys did more than a couple of favors for me. Maybe a couple hundred, but who's counting? But anyway, thanks to you guys. And then, excuse me, I was hoping I'd be able to keep it together. But Kevin, I do owe you a lot of thanks, because you're the one that really put together the vision of the sales team and where we were going to be, and provided me the opportunity to move in to lead the national strategic team. So for that, I thank you. And then to the national team, the client services group, the strategic account managers, both in Huntsville and here in Brooklyn Center, as well as the customer generation team. Everybody had a hand in me receiving this honor today, and I do thank everybody. And just in wrapping up, one of the nice things about Showdown has always been we've been a great team. And with that, every department in this organization has had a hand in my success here. So thanks to all the supervisors and all of their employees. With that, I'll end it before I start sobbing.
Well, let's give it up for Daryl. Daryl, thank you very much. Great comments, Daryl. Appreciate you you sharing that with us. And it is. When I talk about meaning of the award, it's hard to get through this without getting a little choked up. So, Daryl, I just sympathize. I'm having a tough time doing it myself. But again, congratulations to Daryl. Our next honoree is Bill Kilrain. And Bill is somebody that many of you probably didn't work with, at least on a daily basis. He's sort of behind the scenes. And Bill was behind the scenes here when I got here. He probably was here maybe a month when I arrived, something like that. But Bill and I sort of started the tenure together at about the same time. And he's been just an instrumental part of our Showdown family since those days when when I first met Bill. He said, who's this guy in the back? I think he's in finance. He's got a cube right next to the bathroom back here in the upper floor in our Ramsey facility. Oh, well, that's Bill. Okay. And ever since then, Bill has become a trusted partner. He's another utility player. Countless jobs, countless titles. I may not have them all right. Accounting, controller, CFO, VP of finance, director of financial analysis, the list goes on. And I may not even have all of those right. But Bill did those all with a style that, to me at least, unique and endearing. It wasn't just to me, it was to everybody around him. And it was one that put a smile on everybody's face, right? And that's still true, to this day. He had the unique ability to tell you exactly like it was and to make you feel good about it. And you would leave the conversation feeling better than you did before, even if the news was bad. And Bill did. One of the reasons he became such a trusted member for me and others around him, you could get unfiltered feedback from Bill. Sometimes with a few adjectives thrown in there, of course, but you could get unfiltered feedback from Bill. If it was good, yep, this is what's going on. Say, Bill, what's happening with this product line? What are we doing here? How is our sales number looking? He would tell me and others exactly what was going on, unapologetically. But then, okay, now it is what it is. We can't yell at the numbers. We can't yell at the spreadsheet. What are we going to do about it? And he would do that with in his own way, and as I mentioned, help you feel better about it. Bill also strayed outside, I mentioned utility, strayed outside the lines of what his normal job description was, because we asked him to do that. And he became a subject matter expert in a number of areas where we just did not have it. Bill was instrumental in and became a subject matter expert in Microsoft Nav. So when Bill first arrived, we were going through the implementation of Nav, at least the first version of, at that time, Navision. He was instrumental in that, making that work for Showdown and for Continental Sign. Back in those days, Bill, you were involved in Continental Sign, and then the mammoth project of getting Creative Banner over from, when we did that integration, from a system called Natural Order to Microsoft Navision. And I remember Bill, people remember different things. I remember you referring to it lovingly as natural disaster or natural disorder, right? Was the term Bill lovingly used for the other system that we had. But that was no small feat. I mean, that was a monumental task, and we gave that to Bill. And through that, Bill became this subject matter expert, almost IT-like. If we wanted something done, we always had to involve Bill. And it got to the point, frankly, where I was very worried about that, and others were his boss, Deb Weston, was very worried about that, saying there's too much knowledge in this guy's head. If he gets hit by the proverbial bus, we have a problem. I mean, you were that valuable to what we were doing, Bill. So that even continues to this day. We come up with things. I think Bill would know how to do this, but we're going to have to figure this out. So Bill was instrumental there. Bill was also instrumental. I touched on it before. Again, for those of you who haven't been here a long time, we have a history of many brands. Daryl talked about Edge Exhibits. I've mentioned Creative Banner a few times. Mentioned Continental Sign a few times. We had a few other museum displays. We had a Star Spangled Banner display. All of this stuff. Bill was instrumental in the integration of all of those brands, and more so than the brands, but just putting the companies together. The thing that we did with Continental Sign and Showdown back in the 2008 or thereabouts. Can't say enough, and I still remember those days sort of fondly, that we were working on that project. But what a difference we have now, and that's all because of your contributions at that time. Bill also played a large role in the implementation of this thing we call Traction, or EOS. So if those of you who aren't familiar, that's where we get rocks. It's where we get level 10 meetings. It's where we get our weekly metrics report. Bill was instrumental in helping with the implementation of that when we decided to do that many years ago as well. We could not have done that without you. Loved Bill's sense of humor, right? Which, if I haven't given you a peek of that, you haven't picked up on that, I will tell you. I loved Bill's sense of humor. Every day there was something. I could go talk to Bill, and I knew usually it would involve some sort of laughter in that conversation. Again, even if it was tough news or honestly, when you're looking at numbers for much of the day, sometimes it's not all that exciting or humorous to look at, but Bill had a way of doing that. And Bill, to me, that was a priceless part of I'll call our partnership and now friendship. Really admire the way you could do that. And Bill could also give employee feedback like nobody else. And he had a way of doing this that would also put a smile on your face, depending on who you are. And I do have to share one. Bill did have an instance where an employee came to him and said, I must really be a lousy employee. I haven't had my high five card signed in 6 months or something. And Bill thought about that for a minute, and his response was, gee, you might be onto something there. So I will never forget that. It's little things like that that had me laughing each day. One of the other trademarks that Bill had, and we'll keep going with the attitude thing here for a minute, you could always tell really how he was doing, but it would give you the same response. Bill, how are you doing today? And his patented answer was living the dream. And in some ways, I hope, Bill, that you at least sort of meant that, and that you were happy to be here, and you were happy to be part of the team. But it's my hope and my pleasure to introduce you as the next member or inductee in the Hall of Fame, and I hope that that is a continuation of you living that dream. We were certainly fortunate to have you for all those years, and can't thank you enough for your contributions. So without more fanfare, I invite Bill up to say a few words, and we will do the unveiling of Bill's sign as well. There he is. Let's give it up for Bill Kilrain. Congratulations.
Thanks, John. Well, I was pretty tame, John. I expected to be ripped much more than that, so I appreciate that. As John expressed his opinion about my sense of humor, John also, if you never really talk to him much, has what you might call a dry sense of humor. And so we had a lot of fun trading bars back and forth. And so I kind of expected more of that today. I'm a little disappointed, but that's okay. That's okay. Well, thanks, John. This is quite an honor. I totally unexpected. I was thinking about what to say. It's not going to be nearly as good as Daryl's speech because I'm an accountant. So sorry, I'll apologize in advance. But I was thinking about what to say, and I thought as a young man starting out in my career, I thought, boy, I hope someday, because I'd be doing menial jobs like most people do when they start out, and I was, boy, I wish I had a job where I could make a difference. And boy, did I come to the right place, because you have to, in order to make a difference, you have to be at a place that wants you to make a difference and encourages that behavior, not only in you but your coworkers. And so to me, the management of Showdown has done a wonderful job of just create a culture where people are not afraid to take chances, afraid to go out, make things a little bit better every day. And that culture it starts with management, but everybody's involved in it. All the employees are also involved. And so when I would try to do things, and that's what I really enjoyed about the job, was making a little bit of a difference, making a little change to make this a little bit better or that a little bit better. It was always encouraged, always backed up, and it was not only managers but the employees and the culture of the company. So I really enjoyed that, and I miss it very much. But anyway, I appreciate all the help and support I've gotten from everybody along the way, and I've really enjoyed most of it. Although Daryl probably knows what I'm talking about. There's one job that was not all that enjoyable, and Daryl knows what it is. But no, I really appreciate the job, and for those who are wondering how retirement is, I am now truly living the dream. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Now, I am going to have to follow up and discover what the one job, I think I know. Did it have something to do with rebates?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Customer rebates. Well, right, not to leave anybody hanging there. We'll talk about that off camera. But at any rate, I will close by saying congratulations again, and welcome to the Hall of Fame for Bill, for Daryl. Guys, thank you so much for your contributions. Julie, thanks for being here with us today, and thanks to the team, the limited team that's here in Brooklyn Center. We will close it up, and we're going to take a few pictures here. Please, if you see this on YouTube, please feel free to pass your congratulations to Daryl and to Bill for this well-deserved recognition, and thanks for joining us for the presentation today. Have a good day, Showdown.